what the weight of the gas was and things like that. So she has this number that's like lower than the number that she started with, like the dry materials and the vessel that they were heating stuff in. After adding water, the number was lower. I said, that's not right. She said, okay, well, how do I fix it? I'm like, I don't know. How much water did you add? Well, we don't know. We just kind of poured it in. I'm like, well, there's your problem right there. My wife's like, well, you can just fudge it. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, make a mockery of science. That's when I left. I will not be party to scientific fakery.
Thank God you have your standards.
That's right. So the camera sits so freaking low.
Copy link.
No, that's too.
Put into and then and then and then.
Look, I really don't want to listen to you grunt.
And then. Oh, right, I think we're on the air.
So I got Overwatch.
Yeah?
I did.
Did you have a computer? You never told me your computer came in.
I picked it up over the weekend, yeah.
Oh.
I said I picked up my computer and then you made some crack joke.
No, I asked who picked up the computer. You said my computer was picked up. I didn't know if that meant by the shipping company or anything. I asked a legitimate question and said who picked it up. You gave me a smart-ass answer and I stopped asking you questions about it.
I think you actually did have a smart-ass answer.
No, if you scroll back, we have all the chat history. If you want to go back.
I do. I'm scrolling back right now.
I just asked you who picked it up because I didn't understand what it meant. Because I thought maybe it was shipping via UPS, and you got notice that UPS picked it up. So it would be here in 2 days or something, We lost Jeremy.
I will be starting off the podcast, by the way, saying something about Gene Wilder.
Okay.
So yes, okay, so yeah, here it is. I did scroll back through the history.
Okay. So what's it
say? Ready for your smart-ass answer?
What's my smart answer?
I said computer has been picked up. You said by who? I said my new laptop. Your computer was picked up by your new laptop?
That's because your answer to who picked up my computer was my new laptop. That was your answer.
Wait a minute. You just said 2 minutes ago that your response was not a smart-ass question.
My response was by who? Your response to that question was what?
My new laptop.
Yeah.
But then your answer was a smart-ass answer.
Done. We're done.
Your answer to that was a smart-ass answer. It was a smart-ass answer.
No, the answer was the previous. The response was the previous one. I asked a question. You gave me the wrong answer because you weren't paying attention.
Admit you're wrong. You're wrong.
I'm not admitting I'm wrong. You answered the laptop.
You're wrong.
Who picked up your laptop?
You're wrong.
The laptop.
You're wrong.
The laptop picked itself up.
You're wrong.
You're freaking gay.
Whoa, hey now. Listen, the comments made by the host of the show are entirely their own and not part of a group think.
In my opinion, you're gay.
Wow.
And not in that happy-go-lucky 1920s version. I mean, you are a flaming homosexual who won't come out of the closet.
Stop.
That's what I'm talking about.
Stop. We're gonna get mail.
No, we're not gonna get mail.
Someone's listening.
Who's gonna listen?
If anything keeps driving up our listeners, is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Our one listener.
Yeah.
Hey, what's this link?
That's our show.
Oh.
PNR show put it in chat so that I could copy and paste it to Alpha Geek so that we could be on the air. It's just in time for Rob and I to get in an argument and me to call him gay. So that's our pre-show for this week. Not that there's anything wrong with being gay. I just happen to think Rob should admit the fact that he is.
We love you
stop
anyway, Rob.
and stop trying to copy me with your facial hair.
That's right. I've only had the beard for about 6 years now, but that's all right.
Yeah, and how long have I had mine?
I don't care.
Oh,
Hardly copying you.
I
for
didn't say
6
you
years.
recently copied me. We've known each other a long time, my brother.
Look at mine, though. Everybody look at mine. I have a lot more dark hair in my beard than Keith has in his.
More proof that I've had mine longer. Mine's not white though; it's blonde.
If
we
you
gonna start this thing, or are you girls just gonna
I'm
bicker all
ready
night?
to start. He's sitting there, with his thumb up his ass.
All right, folks, you heard it. Rob's ready to start. So here we are.
Thank you.
PNR Show, Season 3, Episode 24.
Talking over your intro.
Gose, get your own picks.
I'd rather have lager than rye. I'll take a strong stout over stride. I prefer to confer with a half pint of ale than live a long life till my private parts fail. For life without liquor is to no avail. So bring me lager for life.
There's nothing wrong with being gay.
From the deep, dark, rarely used
I'm not
corners of the
judging.
interwebs, it's the Pint of No Return show. Tonight, Keith makes a fool out of himself.
Oh, you mean like every night?
Sorry, that's every week, but even more so today, as he offends literally millions of people across the country. Okay,
Not offensive to be gay.
And
I
tonight-
didn't say that.
we take a dip into the
Normal, natural,
Utah
healthy.
Brewing
I just wish
Company.
Rob would admit
Ready,
it.
set, goes. I'm hearing what you're saying. Ready, set, goes, and
And
no
what- and what-
topics.
And
all
what is?
No, that's right. All picks.
What's the name of the
No
beer?
topics.
What's the beer brand?
Ready, set, goes by the
Uinta.
Uinta Brewing Company.
Or Unida.
Or
Or
if it's
Uinta.
spelled wrong, it's Uinta. Please look at the notes.
It is Uinta.
Or
Uinta.
That's
Like,
actually the
what-
correct, Keith.
What are you into?
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm into beer.
I
What are
don't
you
think that's what Rob said before. Let's rewind the tape.
Uinta.
God.
Anyway,
We're drinking a beer his laptop picked up.
as you may have noticed, we're light one no returner. That's because Gary is doing school night. Wah, wah.
Lame.
Suck it, Gary. All right, but we will not be undaunted. We are going to be visiting the Uinta, or if you're Keith, Unita, and drinking their
Uinta.
Gose. Now, Keith and or Jeremy, can you refresh the audience and me as to what a Gose is?
Gose.
It's a beer.
Thank you.
Gose is a beer that
Told
is a little bit tart, often very salty because they use local water that's salty or add salt to it. Not a whole lot of hops in these beers.
Yay!
Low alcohol and
Yay!
typically coriander, orange kind of wit beerish or Berliner Weiss style. But that's like a salty Berliner Weiss or a salty wit beer would be a Gose. That would
Sounds
end up with a
Somewhere
Gose.
between a wit and a Berliner Weiss. It's not quite as sour as a Berliner, but it's a little more sour than a wit. And
Yeah.
definitely salty, which is a kind of an odd thing with beer.
Yeah,
To be actually brewed with salt.
brewed with salt. I mean, we've certainly garnished our beer with salt over the years. Thank you, Beer Salt. But perhaps brewed with salt? I don't think so. So I don't know if it's going to taste a little like a margarita or what. But coriander, for those folks
Less
out there,
lime than you'd expect.
yeah, coriander out there, for those folks who may not be aware, new listeners to the show, is actually the seed of what eventually becomes cilantro. And it's found in lots of beers. Most notably, I think you guys would agree, most notable is probably Blue Moon. That does the big
Which
time
is
coriander.
a wit beer that we were talking
Yeah.
about before.
So and we've done a few coriander beers over the years. So it'll be interesting. I'm ready to go.
Are you ready to Gose?
Gose. Sorry, Jeremy. Gose.
Okay, you can say it however you like.
Yay!
Oh. Yeah, you can
Beer.
smell that coriander. I've got some kind of national dog emergency happening in the background.
Your dogs apparently aren't big fans of the Gose style.
No, they just saw Colin Kaepernick walk by. Which is going to be I know we're not supposed to be doing topics tonight, but I did have a mini topic. I wanted to ask Jeremy how things are going. While my beer settles down its head, Jeremy, how are things going in San Francisco right now?
Is this a sports ball question?
It's a sports ball question, yes. But it's also a kind of a national news story.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything other than some news articles online. I don't know. There's no protests on Market Street, so I guess that's a good thing.
You know, just so you know, and we don't usually get very political here on the Pioneer No Return show because Keith hates it. I mean, in my opinion, it's a free country, man. Go ahead, protest whatever you want. Stand up, sit down, do jumping jacks, whatever you want. It's a free country, and sure, some people are going to take it as an insult. Some people are not going to care, but just be prepared that there's consequences for everything that you do, right? I mean, he's not going to go to jail for it, but he might lose sponsors. He might lose his job, but that's, you know, every choice you make has ramifications, good and bad. So whatever you want to do, Colin. It looks like you weren't going to make the team anyway because you suck, but that's beside the point. All right, guys, ready to drink some beer?
Every time I hear his name, I want to call him Colin Pumpernickel.
Oh,
I love pumpernickel.
I don't like pumpernickel so much.
I love it. It's chocolate rye. It's lovely.
Does it have coriander in it?
No.
Well, you know what does? This Gose.
This glass has beer in it right here.
Let's drink this Gose. Ready?
Ready?
Prost.
Set.
Gose.
Oh, that beer is salty.
Yep.
That beer is actually salty.
That's good.
Wow, interesting. So that beer actually has a hit of salt as you pull it. It does almost literally taste somewhat like a beer margarita.
I first had this beer, this exact beer, which kind of got me into the style back in the springtime, and I had been mentioning that I was going to send it out in my pack, which I never sent, so it's really my own fault. But Jeremy picked up the slack and sent it back to me anyway, even though I can get it locally. And I love this beer. This beer became my one of my go-to beers over the summer. This and the same company makes a beer called Hop Nosh, which is a really good IPA, and I kind of flip back and forth between the two of them all summer long. It's a great summer beer, great hot day beer, and despite the salt, surprisingly thirst-quenching. I really like it a lot. It's smooth. It's got a good body to it. The salt gives it a little kick where the hops would normally, and it's got just kind of a little tangy finish to it. It's simple and but easy to drink, and definitely great beer.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll go next. This is unlike a lot of beers I've ever had. It's really unique. Not so much for the coriander. That's a very familiar flavor in beer. But the salt and that slight hint of sweetness along with the coriander really makes for a great combination. It blends really well, and it's oddly refreshing. I shouldn't say oddly, but
no, it is. You wouldn't expect something.
I wouldn't expect something salty. Yeah, it's very refreshing.
Counterintuitive, but it totally is.
It's really good. It's very good. It's a solid 8 for me. Really excellent.
What was your rating on that?
I'm sorry, I didn't give it, but it was an 8. I would have given it an 8 as well.
Okay.
I'm
right there with you guys. I think it's a really nice example of the style. It's balanced, salty, sour, easy to drink, good body, refreshing, flavorful. It looks like a light beer, but it has tons of flavor.
Yeah,
we
does.
drank a Gose back in season 2. Actually, we opened season 2 with a Gose from Anderson Valley, their Highway 128 series.
Yep.
Kimmy the Ink and the Holy Gose.
Mm-hmm.
We gave that a 7 overall. It looks like Keith, you liked it. You gave it an 8. Rob gave it a 7. I gave it a 6. So I think I'm giving this one an 8. So I think
It's very strong.
really nice example of the style, and give it a try. If you've never had a Gose, this is a good one to try.
It's got a very crisp taste to it too.
Yeah, very crisp. And if you've never had a Gose, it's a good one to try because it's what a Gose should be, I think.
Yeah. The brewing company that's unpronounceable by me is available nationally. You should be able to get it just about anywhere. And the nice thing about it is that they're reasonably priced too. So like a 6-pack of this shouldn't cost you more than $9. Grab it for Labor Day. It's definitely a good one to have around.
You know, I'll say this: I think this would be a great kind of second level entry beer. Maybe not like the first beer you give someone when they're trying it out, but after they kind of get a taste for it and really like it, you throw this at them. Because I don't think like someone who hadn't drank beer before or not a regular beer drinker would take a Gose with that saltiness. It's just not something you would expect. You might throw them off a little bit, but once they develop a little bit of a palate, slip this in there, and I think they'd really like it.
It depends on what if they're into really tart things, then you might be able to start off with this right away. But it's more of a great example of where craft beer can go.
Sure.
Than demonstration, beer. So it's kind of one of those things that you really want to discover it after you're into the whole craft beer thing, and you're looking for something equally as awesome as that super hoppy IPA you like, but in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
This is where one of the places you can end up.
I think we're all agreed it'd be a great summer beer.
Yeah, definitely.
Really good summer.
Well, for me, it has been.
There you go.
Probably put away more than a case of this stuff this year.
Yeah. Great. Well, very good. So try that. The Uinta Ready Set Gose.
That brewing company makes a lot of great beers, actually. And they put them all in cans, and all their cans have this little compass heading on the top of them. I don't know why, but that's kind of like a signature thing they do. So look for that, and don't be afraid of anything they're putting out.
We should see. What else have we had from Uinta?
I don't know. Did we ever have the Hop Nosh, or did I talk about it?
Yeah, I've never had it.
Hop Nosh.
I don't think we've had it on the show, but I think we have had. I brought some. Didn't I bring some of these back from Utah?
No, of all the Salt Lake City beers and stuff that you brought back, none of them were nearly as good as this company.
Incidentally,
I suck.
Untapped. The ratings for Untapped not nearly as good as ours. They gave it a 3.25 out of 5, which is about a 6.5. I mean, it's not that far off, but I would put that more in the average category.
The only, as I've been experimenting around, what is it? Sierra Nevada made one this year too, as a seasonal. That really wasn't very good at all, in my opinion, which is odd for Sierra Nevada. But the only thing I found that's as close to this, or even maybe bordering on a little bit better, would be the stuff that's actually out of Germany and Belgium. If you can find something imported in the Gose family, that's the closest thing to this, or this is the closest thing to that. Not sure which way you put it, but this is more accessible, easier to find, and cheaper. So go with this.
Go with the Gose. Go with the Ready Set Gose. All right. Well, tonight we have only one segment following our beer, and that's actually our half pint taken all mix segment. That's right. We need you to pick up these things immediately. Looking at the list, we've got music, we've got websites, we've got games, we've got apps, we've got films. We're all over the place. We even have body utensils. We'll talk more about that later. So you guys just want to do these one at a time? We'll each rifle off.
Yeah, I figured we'd round robin it.
All right. So let us start. I'll start. I'm on first on the list, so I'll start. We're doing a lot of watching of old series lately, having been off the grid now, doing a lot of Hulu and YouTube and Netflix and all kind of different services watching. And I have gotten recently back into a reality show that I liked very much when it first came on, and then just totally lost interest. Keith and I lived with Keith for a short time. But probably to him seems like a long time. But I lived with him for a while, and it was during that time when I lived with him back
It
in
was
Poughkeepsie.
just the right amount of time, Rob.
It was time to go. Heath let me live with him. I'll be forever grateful. All right. But right around this time, Keith, if you remember, this new genre of TV shows came on the air, this reality show, and it was called Survivor.
Yep.
And we watched the first 2 seasons, I think?
Yeah, I was going to say the first 2 seasons for sure, because it was the only show like it. It was
wild. It was interesting
at the time.
It was very interesting, and it was such a unique experience back in the day. It took the world by storm. Well, they're now 32, 33 seasons in. And I was sitting in the room with my wife one day, and she was watching Survivor, and I happened to be there, so I was kind of listening by osmosis. And I'll be darned if it didn't suck me back in. It's a really, really good social experiment, and I'm probably not telling you folks anything you haven't heard before, but I became really fascinated with it. And so go back and watch some episodes of Survivor. There are 32 seasons on Hulu now that you can watch. So I've watched a couple now and I'm really enjoying it. So Survivor is my first pick of the night. Keith, what's your pick?
It's an interesting first pick.
Thanks.
Sorry. I thought maybe I'd comment on it a little bit.
Go ahead.
What's that other one? Oh, Amazing Race. Do you still watch a lot of Amazing Race?
I haven't watched the last. No, Amazing Race was. I never was a big
our favorite
reality
for
show.
a while.
I remember a big reality show fan, but I did watch Amazing Race about every year. But I haven't watched it in about a year or so.
Is it still going?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've been a cord cutter for even longer, and Amazing Race just wasn't an option.
Amazing Race is also on Hulu. So.
Well, I don't subscribe.
Oh. Well, that's
Prime and Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Are my two. So.
But yes, it is still on. So, Keith? What is your first pick in our
pick? My first pick is a new game, but by an old developer that we were enthralled with about a year ago, and they're back out with a new game that just released yesterday. Got notified by email from them because it was one of the few development companies that I signed up for their mailing list because I like everything they do so much. And it's I can't even remember the name of the company now. Jeremy, who makes this game? You remember?
3 Minute Software.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's.
Is that right?
Anyway, the name of the game is Crisis Line, and their former games that we were really enthralled with last year was the Silent Night series.
3 Minute games.
3 Minute games? Okay. And what they are is the modern incarnation of the Choose Your Own Adventure.
Ooh.
Rob, if you played these with us. You played Silent Night with us last year, I think.
No.
It's a story game that's told via text.
I don't think I did.
Where you help a lady on a planet, or maybe it's a man. You can't really tell in these games. But anyway, it's told via text message, and the interface makes it look like it's just a text message on your phone. And what you're doing is you're assisting someone with something. The first games were in outer space, and you were getting this random transmission. You had to help this person out by giving them advice every so often, and they would follow your advice. But the whole game is text based, so it's really kind of interesting. It's the return of Zork meets Choose Your Own Adventure.
Nice. Downloaded.
And it's really cool. Crisis Line is the new one that's out now. I think it's $3. Totally worth it. Completely enveloping. Even has an Apple Watch app, so you can get these notifications that the game's ready to be played again on your watch. But it's interesting because it kind of happens in real time. You'll get a flurry of text messages. You'll get some information. You may make a couple of suggestions for the character to do something, and then they go off and do it. And you have to wait for them to come back. So you kind of go on with your life, and then all of a sudden you'll get a notification on your phone that they're back and ready for the next part of the adventure. And so it's really interesting. You really got to play it to understand it. I know Gary and Jeremy and I were definitely into it last year. I think Polly played with us too from our chat.
Yeah, that was episode 6 of this season. That was your pick.
Yeah, of this season. So it was
Yeah,
this year,
yes,
earlier this year.
Season 3.
Yeah. So I got so enthralled with it. I played the first 2 games of that because it came out with a sequel. And then they had a medieval kind of adventure one, which wasn't as good, but I played that too. But then now they're back with this Crisis Line one, and it's a modern day murder mystery. And I'll say it already has a otherworldly twist to it. And that's all I'll say because that's all I know at this point. I'm still playing the game. In fact, I was stuck on it for 24 hours because I couldn't figure out how to get the guy out of this scenic overlook without killing him. So
hey, spoilers.
Yeah, so I finally did. So when you get to that spot, if you get stuck, I know how to get out.
Okay.
But it's really great great game. I'm curious to see what you think of it, Rob, because it's definitely a very different kind of game that you can play on your phone or iPad.
Yeah, I just downloaded it, and there's a gentleman on the line from Austin, Texas, who tells me he's really having a hard time. So
yeah.
I'll have to find out what happened. I obviously have much more important things to do with this podcast, so I'll have to put him aside.
We will lose Rob if he starts playing it now.
That's right.
Get sucked in.
All right, Jeremy, your first pick. It seems to me we had this on the show maybe like a few weeks ago, but it must be so good it's worth mentioning again.
No, we haven't. We've never picked it.
Oh, all
right. At least not in the that I've found. My first pick is Spotify, and we might have talked about this just in the course of talking about the junk we talk about, but I don't think it's ever been a pick. Spotify
we talked about it on the Stranger Things episode because it provided the music.
Right.
For the Stranger Things episode that got us kicked off the air.
All right. Perfect.
And I've been meaning to pick this for a couple of weeks, and finally, since it's an all-pick show, I'm getting it in there. I've resisted all of these streaming services for ages because I like having CDs and I like high-quality music. But Spotify is a pretty darn fun service. They don't have all the music. I've searched for music.
All right. So
almost daily and not
do
found
me a favor,
but
since we're introducing this to people, explain to people what the difference is between Spotify and, say, something like Pandora.
Pandora is a service that makes recommendations based on your likes and the things that you enjoy, basically making a customized radio station for you. Spotify is a library, an online jukebox, where rather than saying, I like this particular band, now play me bands like that, you can say, I want to hear music from this band. It's a lot like iTunes.
You can actually pick each individual track if you want.
Yeah, it's basically iTunes with a billion tracks in it.
But you don't download it. It's just up in the cloud, and you can listen to it.
So
it's kind of like the smart 2016 answer to Napster.
Yes, and you can download the music too and listen to it offline.
Pay a fee, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you pay for it, ad-based, or you pay for it. I went ahead and paid for it because it's not that much, and I've been listening to it constantly. It's a fun way to discover music because you can pick something like, for example, Iceland, and I found dozens and dozens of playlists of Icelandic music, or coding, dozens of playlists of people who put together music that they like when they're coding. And Spotify themselves curate some lists every day. So really, it's interesting. It's fun. If you want to try it, it's free. You'll hear some ads, but it's a great way to see what the service is about and decide if you like it at all.
I will try Spotify. Just downloaded that too.
Spotify I find to be really interesting. It's nice if you really do want to replicate your own library in the cloud without doing all the work.
Mm-hmm.
And then being able to, if you want to do that instead of buying your own discs, Jeremy often recommends bands to us and stuff, and if you don't want to buy that disc, if you have your Spotify account, you can go check out the whole album.
That sounds great.
For that same monthly fee that you're getting everything else with, which is kind of neat. I have one single problem with Spotify, and they don't seem to have addressed it very well. At least in Windows, their Windows app or their website or whatever you use in Windows to do it, has ads, even on the paid version, I believe.
Really?
There are ads in the sidebars and stuff. Those ads are not maintained very well and often contain malware and viruses and things.
Wow.
So that is not cool at all.
Hmm.
Spotify on your phone or on your iPad is an amazing thing. Spotify in your Windows machine pretty much is a guarantee that at some point you're going to call tech support. So just a heads up.
Well, Spotify does sound really good for some of the things it can do. I mean, I would also recommend if you have Amazon Prime, just go to Amazon Prime Music.
Prime Music
great too.
is cool, but it's about 1/100th of what Spotify.
Oh yeah,
is.
it's a smaller catalog for sure. It's got a lot of stuff. Okay, very good. All right, so now we're on to round two. Round two, Keith, you get to start.
Great. What did I pick?
You picked Night Watch.
Oh, Night Watch. Oh, right. This is. I put the author in there too. This is a book series. Rob, could you pronounce the author's name for me?
Absolutely, Keith. It's Sergei Lukyanenko.
Thank you. I couldn't have said that even if it was in front of me. So I'll count on Rob being our pronunciation expert. But anyway, this is a very popular book series in Russia. I'm listening to it on Audible. It's been translated from its original Russian. And it's really kind of a fascinating book series. And it's kind of old, too. So as you listen to this, you kind of think, oh, they must have got that bit from Twilight, or oh, that's from Blade Runner, or oh, that's from this otherworldly magic storyline. And what you realize is no, these people probably got it from him because he hasn't been popular here in the United States for a while. But anyway, it's kind of interesting. It's set in modern day Moscow, and it's about two different sides of the same coin. There's a group of, they're referred to as others in the book, and they're basically magicians, shapeshifters, werewolves, vampires, people that are no longer really human, but are secretive from the rest of humanity. And they have a truce. There's the light side and the dark side. You can call them good and evil if you want, but they're purposely in the books called light and dark. And there's a reason for that as you get into it. You'll find out. I won't spoil it. But there's these two sides, and they have a truce. And it's an uneasy truce that they have to deal with. So each side has formed a sort of police squad that watches the other side. And the light side has a squad that's called the Dark Watch, or the Night Watch. And the dark side has one called the Day Watch. So the first book is the Dark Watch. The second book in the series is the Day Watch, and then they go on from there. I think there's like 15 books in the series. But what's really interesting is each book consists of like 3 or 4 short stories or vignettes that are all told in this universe, and sometimes they're about the same character as he goes through different assignments on this watch. Or sometimes it's about the watch itself and what they're doing. But it's interesting because it's not one epic story. It's like snapshots in time from these different places. But all in the same universe, all in the same city. So it's really interesting. A bit of it feels like crappy soap opera candy, but there's enough really interesting magic and plot development. And more so as you get into further in the books, you can see where he's developed his own style a little better too as you go on. I think it's really interesting.
Also made into 2 films.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Night Watch and Day Watch.
They are films, huh? That's interesting that they made them into films because they're
came out about 10, 12 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know the books are old. So I didn't know the films. I'll have to go check out the films and see how they relate, because it's interesting because Night Watch in particular is like 3. It's centered around one character, but it's 3 separate stories. So it's interesting to see what they did or how they did that into a movie. Maybe they just took one of them.
Cool.
But,
all right.
Cool listens for sure.
All right, Jeremy has about to tickle my fancy because I love this kind of music. Jeremy, what's your next pick?
My next pick, and this was related to something we were talking about, I think, on the pre-show a couple of weeks ago. My pick is Dr. Popular, and specifically his 8-bit music. There it is. So Doc Pop is a pretty cool guy. He lives in San Francisco, and does all these really neat art projects. He's a professional yo-yo artist. He's a tailor. He designs clothing. He makes music. He does art. He does photography. He does video games. All kinds of stuff. And this music, he's done a couple of albums of music made with Game Boys and other 8-bit equipment, stuff that's not necessarily designed to be a musical instrument. And he really makes it work well. I linked to his Bandcamp page, so you can listen to, I believe you can listen to it there. Really, really fun stuff, and give it a listen. I think you might like it. It's not... It's kind of goofy because it's 8-bit bleepy music, but it's also kind of serious. So give it a listen.
May I also suggest 8bitftw.tumblr.com, which is all covers, all 8-bit covers. Right now, I'm listening to Africa by Toto in 8-bit. I love it.
The genre is called chiptunes.
Uh-huh.
It's been around for a little while.
Yeah.
I can't listen to more than like one or two tracks without
It's so fun.
pulling the rest of my hair out. But I do like it like mixed in. Like if I have a bunch of music and I mix in chiptunes with it, like on random, that's awesome. It just shows up. I got one song, I'm grooving to it, and then I'm on to the next thing. I tried to listen to different chiptune like albums, or I just like, oh, I'm into this, so I put in like chiptunes into Pandora. My eyes will start bleeding after like the third or fourth track. I can't handle it in any kind of length of time. I just can't. But mixed in, it's really interesting because I have definitely a healthy respect for the genre. And Doc Pop in particular, I love his photography. I'm a big fan of his on Instagram.
Yeah, he does a lot of really cool stuff. He's a creative guy.
He's an interesting dude, no doubt.
All right, my pick for round 2 is a board game. Yes, you guessed it. I'm a big board gamer, so I had to stick a couple of those picks in here. And this pick is a really fun hobby board game, but also can be a great party game. And it's called Betrayal at House on the Hill. And it's an older game. It's the second edition that's come out maybe in the last 6 or 7, 8 years. But basically what it is a board game almost like you were Scooby-Doo and the gang investigating a haunted house.
Oh, fun.
And what you will have... Yeah, Jeremy, you might really like this game. And by the way, thanks for... Apparently, Jeremy picked up Codenames, and it was a big hit.
That's an awesome game. Go get it.
Yeah, I have heard nothing but good reviews on my other podcast too about Codenames. So,
but
company Rob on that one.
Thank you. Give Betrayal at House on the Hill a try. What you have is basically you're each given a character, and your character has some stats. There's only 4 stats with numbers that you have to know. That if you have it sitting in front of you, like a little chart, and a stack of room tiles. Basement tiles, main floor tiles, upper level tiles, but all in this stack face down. And basically you explore the house. So every time you play, the house is a little bit different. So it has a lot of replayability. And then within these rooms are different icons which will represent cards that you need to draw. Some will be items that help make your stats better and weapons that you can use to fight later on. Some will be books that will increase your knowledge and help you to find things better. Some will be rooms that take you, mystic elevators that whisk you to different parts of the house, or secret passages that take you different places. But there are also these omens in some of the rooms, and you draw these omen cards where something ominous will happen to you. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But depending on how many omens have been drawn on the table, every time you draw an omen card, you have to make a roll. And if the roll is lower than the number of omen cards on the table, the haunt happens. It's the crux, the turning point of the story, because you see one of your party, one of your Scooby-Doo gang, has brought you to this house under false pretenses. They are actually here for nefarious purposes.
Do they
Dun,
know
dun,
who they
dun.
are?
Actually becomes a traitor.
They know who they are then.
No, they do not.
Oh, so it's not a bluffing game.
The player, no, you do not have to bluff.
Oh, interesting.
So what happens is you look up in this little table. There's a table of different things, the omen card and the room that the omen haunt happened in, and that will take you to a scenario for that particular game. There are over 50 scenarios in the base game. So again, huge amount of replayability. You could play this game 50 times and not have the same experience. Each scenario will be something entirely different. For example, one will be the rest of the team has to get out of the house before as rooms start falling away into oblivion. Or the betrayer awakens zombies that are trying to chase you or trying to find a magical item. There are just dozens and dozens of scenarios that play. And the game is really simple to play, and it's really easy to learn. But what's fun about it is the story that happens while you're playing this game. The items or the events that you come across when you turn over cards and how they sort of weave together. You can kind of connect the dots. And then once the haunt happens, the betrayer will take his little book off to the side and he'll read it privately so he knows what he needs to do to win the game. And the rest of the players read their book to determine how they will need to win the game. And they come back.
So at that point, the person knows they're the traitor.
Correct.
And everybody else knows they're the traitor.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds good.
And it's very and actually the greatest thing about this, which non-board gamers probably will like, is that a game of Betrayal takes 45 minutes to an hour at the most. So you can get it. It's really a quick game. There's not a lot of downtime in between turns. It's really a lot of fun. So give Betrayal at House on the Hill a try. It's a very fun storytelling, light, haunting game.
I've seen this game before, and the box cover art and the name always reminds me of Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Which scared the shit out of me as a video game.
Not
so
nearly
I
as
want to play
scary.
it.
Not nearly as scary.
Let me play it.
If you would like to see the game played, if you've watched Will Wheaton on Tabletop on YouTube, they did play Betrayal at House on the Hill, I think, in Season 2.
Cool.
So you can see it played. That's my second pick. All right, we're on to round 3. Jeremy, what's your pick for your round 3 game? Pick.
Man, this second beer is awful. I shouldn't have drank it.
Drinking things after a Gose is kind of tricky because it does taint the next flavor.
And it's a bad
hard.
beer anyway. I didn't remember that I've had it before, and I found it in my fridge, and now I know why it was back there. It's that Brotherhood Steam, and everybody rated it low. It got a 4 on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Nasty.
Wasn't
But
very good.
my next pick is better than Brotherhood Steam.
What do you got?
My next pick is an app called Reigns, R-E-I-G-N-S. So if you download this game and try it, be patient while it starts because it's taking a long time to start up. I don't know if their servers are slow. Something's going on. But it's worth the wait. The way it works is it's a card game. They present a stack of cards, and you are the king. Each card will say, do you want to do some action? And essentially it's a yes or no. Every decision is a yes or no. And you're trying to balance the happiness of your population, your kingdom, your army, and the church. So every decision you make is going to make one of those groups happy and one of them unhappy. And the trick is to reign as long as you can before the army rises up and destroys you, or before the church hangs you as a heretic, or before you end up locked in your castle starving because of the riots outside. So
Nice.
and it goes on and on. Each game is another heir to the kingdom. So you'll have like your first game, maybe you reigned 8 years, and then the next game you reigned 10 years, and the next one's 2 years, and it shows you this timeline of all the time that you've managed to stay as the king. It's fun. It's a quick
So it's
game.
like King Jeremy the First, the Second, the Third.
I believe it's a different name each time. It's random. Seems like it's random.
All right.
Remember.
Downloaded.
It's fun.
Ready to go.
We've
Really
had other
quick
games
fun.
like that on the show before. I want to say Rob's recommended some to us.
Dungeon Crawl. Was
yeah,
a
where
very
we-
similar
we're
game.
trying to-
Also, Dictator.
Yeah, Dictators. That's the one I remember, where you tried to balance the 4 or 5 factions.
But this, I mean, just for the look of it, I watched the trailer while Jeremy was talking, and it looks to be much, much lighter than Dictators is.
Interesting.
Very good, Jeremy.
Jeremy, was this free, did you say, or how much was it?
I don't remember if it was free or not.
Okay, awesome.
It might have been an editor's pick.
$2.99. I just bought it.
How much?
$2.99.
$2.99. Okay, so same price as Crisis. Okay, cool. I'm blowing off my third pick that's in the dock. So that's going to be my fourth pick if there's time.
We got time.
But I'm doing this one first because this is for you, Rob.
Hey, me.
And anybody else out there who gets a new computer or occasionally ends up reinstalling stuff on their computer.
Okay.
And this is a website. It's called Ninite, Ninite, and you can find it at ninite.com. And what it is all the crap that you always have to reinstall when you get a new computer. All the stuff you need. And what you do is you go through this, and it's got it sorted. If you go to the website, you can see it's sorted by different file program types. And what you do is you just tick off what you want. So you say, okay, I'm a new computer. I want Chrome. I need some security, so I'm going to go with Avira. That's a good one. Oh yeah, I got to have Skype on there, and Dropbox, and Google Drive. And then oh yeah, I need VLC to play videos, and I'm going to get some other stuff here for programming and stuff. And you check off everything you want, and then you hit get your Ninite. And what it does is this packages all the stuff you checked off into one download and one installer. And the installer does what's called blind install. So you don't have to sit there and answer questions every time it gets to the next program. You don't have to agree to the agreements, and you don't have to say yes, yes, yes. It just does the default install for everything all at once, all in one shot. One download, one install, boom, everything you need is back on your computer.
That's really cool.
It is really cool, and it's saved my butt a few times. Doing the work I do now, I have access to a lot of machines that need, the same types of things on them, so that I go from one machine to the next and have the same type of look and feel, and I don't have to reinstall stuff all the time. So I will go through this and grab my Notepad++ and VLC and Chrome and all the stuff I need to get stuff set up even at work, let alone doing stuff at home and for friends and stuff too. This just makes it simple. So it's one of those things you'll use once and then forget about it by the next time you need a computer for the average person. But if you do any kind of tech support, even if it's just for friends, this is one you want to have in your back pocket.
Cool.
Very cool. All right. So that will take care. That's the first part of round 3 then.
Yeah.
Or no?
Yeah. I bumped my third pick to fourth.
You bumped your third pick to fourth. All right. So my round 3 pick is another board game. Keith, we've actually played this game many years ago, and it's a lot of fun. Again, we've got about 20 minutes, I think, Keith.
Okay.
About 40 minutes. This is another game that's really great for families and friends for a party night game. It's really quick to learn, easy to teach. It's called Robo Rally. And Robo Rally is a race game with different modular boards. Again, very high on replayability because there are different what they call courses. And what you have is a grid complete with different types of obstacles. Conveyor belts, pushers, lasers, pits, all kinds of different things, and you have control of one robot. And basically you get a hand of cards that have different moves on them. Go forward, turn right, go backwards, move forward 2 spaces, and you program your robot. Basically, you put your cards face down. Everybody does it, and then you turn over 1 card at a time, and you move your robot. At the end of each move, anybody who's on a conveyor belt gets moved along the conveyor belt. Anybody who's sitting in front of a laser gets blasted and takes some damage. If you end up sitting on a gear, you turn, and what you're trying to do is touch a series of flags, like a rally race, and be the first one to get through all 3 flags. It's a lot of fun because your plan never goes as expected, because someone's always doing their plan and pushes you on a path that you didn't want to go on, and you have to try to figure out how to get yourself going correctly in the right way, or you may not have the cards you want to get you going the path you want, so you have to figure out a different way to get there. Again, it's a really good, quick, easy game to teach. I would say, kids 8 or older probably would be fine playing this. And there are simple maps, there are complex maps. You can play a team version, you can play Capture the Flag, you can play King of the Hill. Lots of different ways to play this game, and it's it really is a lot of fun. It's about $40, so that's higher on the price point for folks that aren't really into board gaming. But you can find it on Amazon for about $40, and it's a really great game. Robo Rally.
Jeremy, did you ever, when you were learning to program, did you ever play with the turtle?
No, that's Logo, right?
Yeah, the Logo thing.
I didn't, but it sounds a lot like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, this is competitive Logo, is what it is.
It really is fun and cool.
It's a lot of fun.
But yeah, and I'm sorry, there are these little wrench spaces too that you can land on the board as well that will allow you to either heal up damage that you have, and some of them allow you to draw an option card, which gives your robot, you basically upgrade your robot. It can do different things. It might develop another weapon, or able to move 2 spaces instead of 1, and by the end or the middle of the race, people's robots are entirely different. So it again lends a lot to replayability.
Yeah, it's a great one to just throw down in front of people, even people that aren't into gaming at all. And
it's another game that takes about an hour.
Yeah, you can explain it in like 5 to 10 minutes. Once they play their first hand, everybody gets it, and everybody goes, "Oh crap, this is harder than I thought."
Exactly.
And the second round of the game is where all the eyes open.
It's also funny because you could see how these gigantic plans that you have just go to shit because someone pushed you one square.
I forgot about that game, Rob. Damn it! And I really like it, and I really want it now.
Your girls would love that game.
Yeah, Belle would love that. Actually, I think a lot.
Yeah, Robo Rally, absolutely. Okay. So Keith, you did your round 3. Jeremy did his round 3. I did my round 3. We have time for one more round. Yes. And we're back. Let's start with Keith. Keith, go ahead again.
Okay. This is meant to be my last one because it's a little goofy, but I don't know, about you, Jeremy, but I know Rob and I are almost exactly the same age, and damn it if we aren't getting older. And there's one thing I've noticed as I've been getting older, something that I've struggled with ever since my youth is trying to reach my back, and it's getting less and less accessible as I get older.
Can I tell you it's not age related?
Well, no, it is, because I used to be able to reach most of my back, and I don't have the mobility anymore. I can't pull off any kind of double jointed anything that I used to get. So now there's a good section of my back that is just not accessible by me.
It's not being serviced.
And the corners of my house are starting to become rounded as I shave off bits of drywall trying to scratch my back on them. So what
Sydney walks by saying, "When did we start living in an igloo?"
Yes. So what I'm going to recommend to everyone, whether or not you're old, if you see, it's kind of almost a gag gift, but you know what?
Yeah, it is. I got one for the gag gift.
Yeah, if you find yourself a good back scratcher, it's worth every penny that you have. But trust me, even though we all have significant others that could do this, but you know what? They're not always around. They're not always available, or they're not always willing, for reasons that we won't get into now. But sometimes you got an itch, man, and it's not in a spot you can reach. And a good back scratcher, man. Just it's a wonderful thing.
So possibly related to that would be the comfort wipe, and I will link to this in the show
No,
notes.
that's no.
Linking that in the show notes. So
Stop linking applications for fat people.
the people in the commercial aren't fat.
Yeah, of course they wouldn't be. Yes, and folks, if you're out there, it's exactly what you think. All right, Jeremy, what's your last pick?
My last pick tonight is another app. It was the free Editor's Choice app on the iOS store this week, and it's called MindNode. MindNode is a mind mapping software for iOS. If you're not familiar with mind mapping, it's the idea of taking all of the little steps that are required to do something and letting you organize them in a graphical way. So you can take something like, I'm going to plan a beer party, and I know I need to buy stuff at the store. I need to buy cups and napkins and bottle opener, and I need to buy beer, and I need these styles. And you can arrange it and drag them around and drag all these things around and get a really nice idea of, okay, here's all the stuff I need to accomplish a task. I know one guy who uses mind mapping to write public speaking stuff. So he'll have a subject and then arrange all of the topics he wants to cover and subtopics and get them all lined out nice. And he uses that actually as an outline for his speaking. It's pretty cool. It's a $10 application, but it's free this week. So even if you're not sure what it is or if you could use it, it might be worth grabbing it and just playing with it.
Just to have, later on, so you don't even have to keep it on your phone, but iTunes does that great thing of remembering what you own. So right. You get another device down the road, and somebody starts talking about mind mapping again. You can go back and say, oh yeah, I have this really cool mind mapping app that I didn't know what to do with at the time.
And it's one of those things where as you play with it, you'll find applications for it, I think.
Yeah, I downloaded it right away when you said that because it's something I've always been interested in, but I don't really know enough about. The app, unfortunately, doesn't really teach you about mind mapping. It just provides the tool. So I'm on a quest now in my free time to learn more about it, so that I think I can use the tool. But from what I know so far, what Jeremy described is a perfect application, like a party. You're going to need to buy beer for your beer party, so that becomes the one trunk out of your central topic. But then you need the other supplies. That's another one. Who you're going to invite. That's another one. And you can branch off from each of those central themes into little trees of information that all link back to your main object.
I have actually. This is another one, Jeremy. This is not a new app, because I remember using this years ago. I have actually used MindNode before. And there are some great training videos just on YouTube if you want to figure out.
I poked around. I haven't had a chance to watch a lot of them yet and stuff, but I've gone through a few websites.
Right. I am into, obviously, not only board games but role-playing games too, and I've been the game master, the dungeon master for quite a few of them, and I've used mind mapping for some of my own home-created campaigns. And it's a great tool that is really, really helpful. And anything Jeremy's right, that you need to organize your thoughts around. It's really great. If you don't even have to really know necessarily what your node is supposed to look like. Just start putting in a bunch of terms, and the app allows you to kind of point one thing to another thing, or like kind of grandfather something over. It's very intuitive, and you can kind of basically start to see how things piece together just by connecting those nodes. It's really good. So, okay, my last pick, the last pick of the night. I wanted to save this for last. I actually was going to make this a mini topic before we started this, but it just makes sense to make this one of my picks.
I like it.
And, I don't know about you guys, but I was very saddened this week to hear about the passing of Gene Wilder. Gene Wilder and his films were a huge part of my growing up. Not just when I was a kid, but when I was a teenager, even when I was a young adult, and when I was a young guy in my 20s, I started. There almost seemed like every decade there was another type of Gene Wilder film that I was exposed to that really became part of my life. When I was very, very young, of course, it was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and I think that's probably the role that he'll be best remembered for. He just makes that film, and it's just he is Willy Wonka. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the Johnny Depp film never happened because he just is so much is Willy Wonka.
That's a good position to take.
In my teen years, I think Keith will remember this because I think we watched this together. I was exposed to Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
And just the silly, over the top humor combined with the horror.
I'm sorry, it's Frankenstein.
Frau Blücher. To this day, no, I don't think anybody gets it as much as I do, but to this day, my favorite joke in the movie is when Frau Blücher is taking him up the stairs, and she says, "Stay close to the candles. The stairways can be treacherous," and the candles aren't lit. Again, I'm the only one that thinks that's funny, but I just think that's hysterical. And then, so my teen years, it was Young Frankenstein or Frankenstein, and then in my early 20s and mid 30s, I started getting exposed to things like The Producers and well, the big one obviously is Blazing Saddles. That kind of is the capper of all Gene Wilder films to me, even though he's not the star of that film.
You know, you can't. Everybody forgets too, and I'm not accusing you of this, Rob, but he had such a wonderful relationship both on screen and off with Richard Pryor.
Yeah, that too.
Oh man,
I was going to say Richard Pryor. Silver Streak is one of my favorite films.
So
growing
many
up from that
great
time period.
Wilder
Stir Crazy.
Pryor films.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stir Crazy is amazing.
And it was interesting. I was watching an interview with him this week from probably the early 90s, and they were asking him about how he teamed up with Richard Pryor and how they had such great chemistry. And he basically said, I don't know. We never hung out socially, personally. I never saw him off the set. We weren't buddies. But then for some reason, whenever we got together, it just clicked. And I guess he has just one of those relationships with Richard where the freshness was the key to their relationship. Just having not seen each other and how they played off of each other was so natural.
It's something else he said too. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but from an interview is he never tried to be funny.
No.
That was one of the things, he always just tried to play the part. He never thought of himself as a comedian. He always thought of himself as an actor.
Yeah.
So it just happened to be that the parts were funny. Yeah. And he had such a great way of ad-libbing to go with that. And I think that, you put that with something that, you've all got another great comedian in Richard Pryor, and you just can't help but have some comedy genius happen.
Right. I think my personal favorite of all of those films, even though I love Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, love Blazing Saddles, but for me, it's probably because it was my teen years. That's kind of when you start forming who you really are. It'll always be Young Frankenstein.
I agree.
And when you listen to, Keith is right. When you listen to Gene Wilder in that film, the way he speaks. The way he talks is it's almost like music. He's just had it wasn't just acting in the way he delivered his lines. He had such control over how he used his voice, where he could be serious or hysterical literally within the same moment. And that's very, very hard to do. Talking about speaking as a singer who, when you sing different styles of music like jazz or pop or even opera, to make your voice do different things and have different colors to it is very difficult. It takes a lot of practice. It's one of those things that sounds so easy when you do it, when you hear someone like, I don't know, Barbra Streisand or Pavarotti, and just how they're able to not only hit the notes and sing them with vibrato and strength and power, but how they're able to move or slide and give their tones different colors. And Gene Wilder was able to do that with his voice, and it really, I heard someone this week say that it felt like, I never met Gene Wilder, but it felt like this week that I lost someone I loved. That's someone that was a friend of mine. And I think that his voice and the power that he had behind it and the way he was able to deliver, and just, he wasn't this gorgeous leading man. He was kind of a weird-looking dude with crazy hair and a big nose, but for whatever reason, you bought him as a leading man, and he just was, I don't know, he was a great, great actor. And from what everyone has said about him, they all loved him to death. And he was just very well liked in Hollywood. And so it's sad to hear that he passed. I mean, he was 83.
Well, he was married too to the late great Gilda Radner.
Gilda Radner, yeah.
And when she died, I think it took such a blow out of him. And I'm not the first person to say this too, that it was really only a matter of time, because everybody describes them. They talk about Hollywood relationships and how they never last. This was the Hollywood relationship that was the exception to the rule.
Yeah.
They say that these two were, truly, truly in love their whole lives. Just
they had their ups and downs, but they were really in love. And they found out that she had cancer shortly after they got married, and he nursed her all the way through it. Now he did marry again after she passed a few years later, but it was always said that Gilda was his soulmate.
Yeah.
So so it was a tough week, but I mean, he had a good life, a lot of great films to be remembered. So if you have a chance, and if you're so inclined, go find one of his films and go put in Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or The Producers or Silver Streak or Stir Crazy. There's so many great films.
I mean, you think about all the geek quotes we do back and forth with each other, and Monty Python comes to mind. But I swear there's as many as for all the Monty Python movies and TV shows that we quote from, there's as many quotes that come from the single movie, Young Frankenstein, that we use, that I still use with my kids today.
Sure.
From the Abby Normal to, to putting on the Ritz.
Give him a sedative.
At the top of my lungs.
Give him a sedative. Blucher. I may have to go watch. I mean, we have guests this weekend, so maybe this next week I'll have to watch Young Frankenstein. I haven't seen it in a while, so
I think it's worth doing.
Great film. Of course, he collaborated on those three producers and Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddle with Mel Brooks. So,
who is another amazing person.
All right, so we are running out of time in this episode, season 24, our all picks show. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts as Keith plays us out?
I'd rather have lager than lie. I'll take a strong stout over.
Not all speak up at once.
Confer with a half pint of ale. Then
Don't drink this.
Life till my private cocktail.
Don't drink the steam. Okay, got it.
It's to no avail. So bring me lager for life. I'd rather have lager than lie.
Come for white.
Now listen very carefully. Please put the candle back inside the bookcase and push with all your might. The bookcase. I'm just gonna keep talking like this till Keith stops.